because he has the facts in front of him. He's been served with the facts. He knows what the facts are. So he can't say he's in the private side. And Brian will be speaking about that tomorrow. And it can be very powerful. Now, the first judge, which his last name was Plaus, he had received this in the mail, and he says, well, I'm not going to show up for this, because once the judge knows the facts, or has the facts presented to him and in front of him, and they're accepted, or he's made knowledgeable, then he falls under ministerial duty. Under ministerial duty, he then has to follow a statute law. He can't just act as the king of the castle. It makes him liable. He then becomes liable to private suits and that kind of thing. So actions against him. He tried to. We were there, and what he did is he said, I've got the verification papers right here. Can I hand them to the bailiff? And he'll hand them to the clerk of the court. The clerk was right in the court. And he never even responded to it. Again, it's again like, you take that toothpick out of your mouth. If you respond to it, then you're falling under jurisdiction. But he wouldn't. They had been. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but he had. And he had also filed it just before the case came up. So he had filed previously. They changed judge on him, and he knew that the verification forms were right in front of him, and he even said it in the case. He says, but he didn't ask for it to be put into the record, so I don't imagine it ever ended up there. But he asked the judge to put that the documents were served into the court. The documents should be right in front of you. He asked, of course, demurring. He didn't suggest anything. He asked. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. And he had another set in his hand. And they would not accept any of it. Now, that brings us up to, so now he didn't give his name, so he was put into the remand center for 8 days. And then they released him. And then he had to go back into court on, what was the date when he was in court? Monday? Tuesday? But he had to go back on this charge, this obstruction of justice charge that went back to the fighting the common law plates thing. So he went back into court here, and that would have been Monday because Tuesday. It was Tuesday. No, sorry about that. It was Wednesday because he got out on Friday. That's what it was. So he went in and he wouldn't give his name. The judge asked him. He said, "I'm a secured first party creditor," and he was thrown into jail, or into the remand center again. And then they released him again, coming out. No, what happened? Because I was there. I'll just reviewing here. When we went into the court Wednesday morning, when I got there, he wasn't there. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, and they brought him into a side room, and they told him in the side room that only a lawyer, and the judge could be there. And they told him all the papers that he had filed in didn't show jurisdiction, so they didn't mean anything. So all those charges that he had sent it in, that we'd helped him actually send in, they didn't have jurisdiction. So he has to get to the bottom of that. He doesn't know exactly how to deal with that, but that was all thrown out. Then we sat in the court until about 11:30, trying to think of things that had happened. I didn't have time to kind of jot all this down and straighten it all out in my mind.
But Phil, everything that he filed was filed in the form of a verb. Is that true?
Yeah. Okay.
So really,
I know. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, yeah. But let's not get into that. Let's just build, okay? Okay, because we're throwing a lot at people, but when you can tie the two together. If you tie the two together, it'd be dynamite. That's right. So we'll just do one step at a time.
There is a fellow here who's done it in now.
Yeah. Who's that? Oh, is that right? Eh? They're good. Good. So you can speak tomorrow. Okay? Okay? That'd be great. So, okay. So, Verna, can you remember what happened on Wednesday? I'm trying to remember all of it so I don't mix up too much. When Gord was in court, and he tried giving his name. I'll give you a quick summary of it. What happened is the judge asked him three, maybe four times that he had to give his name, otherwise he did not appear for the case. That there was no one that appeared for the case. So Gord continued, and he says, I'll put a warrant out for the arrest of the person named in this court order. And so that's basically what happened. So Gord left, or actually two RCMP escorted him to the back of the court, and there was a boxed-in area there with two sets of doors. And once he was in there, he was outside of the court, so they immediately apprehended him. They had a side door, and he was gone. So it was kind of quick. Can you remember anything else of significance that happened there? And then you can yeah, on Wednesday. Remember, he went in on Wednesday. We were there, and then okay. So then he ended up until Friday. Till what time was it heard on Friday? 11. About 11.
We started out at 10,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was here probably about 11. No,
Okay.
it was about 10.
By this time, he had 4 counts against him because he.
Now up to 7.
We're up to 7 now, because he had not failed to appear because he didn't give his name up at the Fort Saskatchewan. He didn't give his name. You can maybe help this gentleman out, but he didn't give his name in Red Deer, and he still had the outstanding account of the obstruction, and whatever the fourth one is a fairly minor one, but there's still another one. So it's not it's not working out as well as we'd hoped, but on the other hand, we are trying out different, or the group is trying out different types of things, and they've had more success coming at it from partially giving their name and things of this nature. A lot of what this information is coming from the U.S., and so it's not that it's not, the basis of it isn't true. It's just making it work up here and opening the doors. Has it worked in the U.S.? We understand, and we haven't got the paperwork on it, but there's at least one court case, and we also know that the Patriots are accepting for value traffic tickets in this, supposedly. Okay, we haven't had anybody come out here and testify to that, but through the people that we have been dealing with, the police are leaving them alone because they're accepting for value those tickets, charging them back, and then the police have to pay the tax on those chargebacks. But again, we believe that the information is sound in the background, exactly how the procedures are going to work out, and I believe that this gentleman back here is, and we get into tomorrow, you'll see there's another layer that you can go. Brian Logozar at the back, he will be giving us more information on how you can deal with bank freedom issues and other kinds of things, and how that can be the successes that can be had there. And then we'll go one step further, and if we put all this stuff in the truth, what's called law procedures in the truth, then the whammo, it'd be heavy duty stuff. So I'm going to stop there. I'm sure you guys need a break, and we'll reconvene and go on, and we'll listen to Darren, and we'll have go into some other matters here. We're ready to go? Okay. If I could have everybody's attention. We haven't been following the format too closely. Our guest speaker is not going to be making it, doesn't seem like, but we're working on it. We still have somebody working on trying to get him released. I guess he's with Customs and Immigration, like others have been kept in there. He's been in Canada a number of times, so we didn't think there'd be any problem. in any case, we'll see if there's something that we can do to get him here. He's at the airport, and he's being held at Immigration and Customs. They, for whatever reason, he may not have done all the paperwork he should have done. Whatever, we'll find out what the cause is. In any case, what our focus here is an emerging empire, emerging kingdom that's coming about that we want to shed some light onto. We are looking at what's happening in terms of detaxing, in terms of reforms in the justice area and in banking reform. But when we look at the situation that I've just presented here, the fact that we've gone through bankruptcy, we've got into bankruptcy, there's a key element that created that, and that's the concept of a social debt system that we're in. So how do we turn that around? That's a very key element in being able to work things to our advantage, so that we the people can get back some control. If we had control of the money system, then we could have control back in our hands. We'd be able to buy and sell without the costs that are involved with taxation and the costs involved with the interest payments that we make. So we're dealing with interest slavery, graduated taxation. If we can get rid of those problems, there's a way to do it, then we're going to be much further ahead. So we're going to have a couple of speakers speak on that particular issue. If we're looking at a kingdom or a new beginning, then it has to be based on that type of concept. Just going to briefly explain what's going to be happening here. It doesn't look like our main tech speaker is going to be in, but we do have a high-profile video that brings us up to date on technology that we can use, up-to-date technology that we can use to free ourselves. That will be coming after supper, so it's upbeat and very exciting. So we've kept you on the law procedures and those kinds of things for quite a bit of time today, and we'll be doing some of that tomorrow, along with some technology, ending off with law procedures and the truth. At this time, I'd like to briefly take the time now to, we've got until 6. Supper will be ready at 6. So I'd like to bring you through the 7 days of redemption, because we can't get really started in the movie at this point, and give you some ideas along that line. So we'll go through that, and I'd also like to just touch on the emerging empire that we're seeing coming forward. Now, could somebody catch the lights up in the front here? And, oops. This will probably help here. Now, I've got this, but I think we've seen enough of this, but I'm going to just zip through it very quickly as a teacher, and it's important to understand that they've used behavioral modification on us to mind control us. And this is what this is. That's called the box theory. It was put together by it's put together by Skinner at the turn of the century. B.F. Skinner, who was a psychologist and a scientist as well. And what he did is he used positive and negative conditioning on his daughter in a secret mind control project. And they used that information to learn about behavior modification. They're using these techniques in the school system. We were taught as teachers to use this kind of information. So the B.F. Skinner box is very similar to the Matrix. If those people have seen the video Matrix, it's a perfect metaphor. The Matrix is a perfect metaphor for what's going on. You can equate the two. So how many are familiar with the video or the movie, The Matrix? Anybody not? Okay, you're not? Okay. Okay, okay. But yes. So it plugs us into the system. So he basically drove his daughter crazy in this maze by using positive and negative reinforcement, and he studied her from outside of the maze where he could manipulate her behavior without her realizing that is taking place. So when we look at sheeple, and that's people that are being herded into this global network, this is a good way to understand where this social engineering is coming from. You enter the box at birth and you're told that the only way you're going to get out is at death. You have the pawning and the theft of we covered that today, but the school system has a special role that it plays. It indoctrinates authoritarianism. We as parents do the same thing with our kids. The idea is that, don't ask too many questions, because you're not going to get any answers because we can't give you all the answers. But the school system is kind of like a little penitentiary if you stop and think about it. I'm going to go through this very quickly. You can kind of read through these. I'll just touch on these briefly because I want to get on. But teaches survival in the box, how to get around. Communicates the fear, false evidence appearing real, so it backs up what the newspapers and the media and everybody else in the government is telling you. The system backs up all the false information that's going around. All you need to do is look at the Montessori method of teaching, and you'll see how backwards our system really is, because we crush the creative abilities of kids at a very young age. We fracture the self-image of our kids, and then we rebuild them by compartmentalizing information into different parts of the child's psyche. Now, if you get into mind control, one of the things I really found amazing, I thought the mind control was, well, they break your mind up into 2 or 3 compartments, or multiple personalities, and then they program each one of those. But if you listen to the people that are actually working in this field and helping other people get out of mind control, what you soon discover is that the self-image is like a piece of glass or like a mirror, that when it's shattered, it breaks into thousands of pieces. And then they mind control, the CIA, for example, mind controls each one of those little pieces. So, and compartmentalizes it. So when we look at Canada, there's not 30 million individuals in Canada. There are multiples of 30 million. So that's why when we're talking about divisibility and fractures within our society, and the inability to bring large people together on any kind of issues that are of real importance, it's because our minds and our psyches are fractured. And we're taught to be competitive in the school system. We're taught how to that money is the only the end all. Etc., etc. I'm going to try and go through this quickly, but there are 4 parts to the mind control box that we were in. Revenue Canada. Revenue Canada stands for the ARP. There's a rape that's going on. Revenue Canada, avaricious banking, the police state that we're under, and E. The E stands for entitlement. Entitlement of the Roman corporation that we talked about. But some of the things, when people ask you the question, well, you're not paying your taxes? Well, you should be paying your fair share. Well, you should ask them, what is my fair share? I'm paying out 85% now with indirect taxation. And you back that up with the Simon Fraser Institute. But one of the things that people should be aware of is that if you look at Alaska, the Alaskan people aren't paying tax. They're tax-free, the state is tax-free. But at Christmas time, families get up to $15,000 as a bonus around Christmas time, because they get dividends on all the resources that are going out of the state. Now, why isn't BC and why isn't Alberta and Saskatchewan getting the same deal? Because we are sold out. Murray Govro, in his presentations, he always brings forth the concept that if you took, that we're so rich in this nation that if we really took back resources and took back the country, that if you took put a pig in the ground and you took a string that was 20 miles long and you made a big circle, within that area you'd have enough of money, enough wealth to pay off all the debt in Canada at every level of government. So that's how rich we are, and we've left that all escape. And 36% of Canadians are paying tax, are borrowing money to pay tax. 36%. We're 48% pay more, 40% more tax than the U.S. It goes on and on and on. Anyways, there you've got the sin number. We've got to ask ourselves what part of being raped we don't understand. We've got to ask people that. Avarice is banking. I have a few things there. The police state, when you look at RevCan, they're 60,000 strong. That's 2 or 3 years ago. They're hiring on a continuous basis to try and keep up with all the tax avoidance and tax dodgers or whatever. And they're a big extortion organization. If you look at the CSE, it was never approved by Parliament. CSE, the Communications Security Establishment, and they keep all this information hidden from us under, FinCEN and Echelon and all that stuff, under national insecurity, I say. There's invasion of privacy that goes beyond comprehension. They know every facet of all the information that's in the box. When they put the price of gas up, they have enough scientific information. They've got you codified, stratified, classified, every word you can possibly add to it, and they do it by regions, and they see what kind of reaction there is outside of the box. So they're looking from outside of the box into the box, like on a one-way mirror, and they're saying, "We've got you guys buffaloed. We've got you fooled. We're driving you just exactly where we want you to go." It gets the fact that we've even bought into any of this stuff it's just hard to believe. But we get into party politics. We talked about that and other things. But that's entitlement. Entitlements gives the government the right to dictate. We give them money, taxes, etc., and they fund programs. Well, those programs, they dictate where the money goes. So, and at we get out of the rape at death, hopefully. It's causing disunity, it's dividing, it's fracturing this into billions of bytes, not just 30 million. Multi-generational, we're looking at multi-generational rape. They raped us every which way possible, so we've destroyed it's destroyed the Canadian vision. The division within the country is so, they've done it at so many different levels, so many different ways, that we're divided to the extent that it's, we don't know our neighbors next door, that kind of thing. We don't know what community means anymore. So this is probably the greatest hurdle that we've got to overcome. We've got to be able to get control of our psyches and our ability to help each other out. You've used that behavioral modification. Now, in the box, one example of a box it really struck me is I was born in Red Deer and grew up in Red Deer, and we always used Gase Avenue to travel north and south through town. They put a new thoroughfare in the Taylor Drive, and I caught myself on the third time going through there, and I said, "Man, this is the Skinnerian box. This is behavior modification." When I stopped to think about it, and I said, "Well, they put this road in this particular way, and to drive us they wanted us to direct us in a certain way." And they're sitting outside the box. They're looking, town planners are sitting outside the box, and they're saying, "Huh, yeah, it's working. This is great. They're doing exactly what we want them to do." They're using this new thoroughfare. Well, there are practical things that have to be done, and that makes sense. You put a more efficient route through town. If you can do it, you do it. But the average person doesn't stop and think about how they're changing their behaviors. It's a very small change, perhaps, insignificant, but they change your behaviors in this way without you realizing that they're doing it. And they do it on a very subtle basis. They use the mind control. When you get into mind control, the Kosovo War is an excellent example of how they've twisted the masses' ways of thinking around and getting their solutions, the solutions that they wanted. The Marxist dialectics works in this fashion. They give a problem, okay? They wait for a reaction from the people, and then they give a solution. The solution is always removal of your sovereignty, a removal of your control over the situation. So in Kosovo, what did they do? Time magazine, for example, they built up the Serbians as being, the rottenest people in the world, and their leader, they put Time magazine has a picture, I've got it on one of my slides, of him standing with his arm up like this, and they put a Hitler beside him with his arm up. So now he's guilty by association. He's as bad as Hitler, because hey, I saw it. So we know that so they built up. Amnesty International, for example, said that the Serbians were stealing babies, Albanian babies, out of incubators. Complete, utter lie. This came out. What's that?
Same happened with Iraq when
Yeah.
the babies started.
But it was a complete lie, and it came out in a seminar or a presentation that took place in Edmonton. The net result was that Time magazine on the front cover said, and this one lady was presenting it, showed it. I don't have that particular slide. I'd love to have it, but it says on it, "Well, can this go on? Can this go on?" What they do is they create the problem, and then they wait for the reaction of the people, and the reaction of the people they want is, what are we going, well, this can't go on. What are they going to do? What is government going to do? What is international government going to do, or whatever the situation is? And they've already got the solution. So they go in there and they start a war and they do whatever, right? But it's to their ends. It always meets their ends, and it pushes their program forward. So we're mind controlled in so many ways. We're mind controlled through greed. They've got us trapped in this rat race, and all we're considered, they've got us down now, like Bev was mentioned earlier, to a point where there's very few people that have solid jobs or job security anymore. Some people have to pick 2 or 3 jobs up, so they're working us to death so that we can't see what's going on. We don't have time to research and think about it. The false evidence appearing real, well, you're going to get enough dose of that. I don't have to repeat any of that. The fantasy of freedom of choice, they wrap garlands of culture and music and all this kind of stuff around our chains, so we begin to love our enslavement. And that's where most people are. We're brain dead. I'll give you an example of that. If you watch the Waco example, the Waco fiasco. By the way, the reason for Waco was for them to test what would be the reaction in the box, okay, of the people if they murdered 17 innocent Christian children and their parents. That's what it was about. That was one of their main functions. Another one was for them to have an excuse to concentrate power under George Bush. George Bush was leading up, concentrating the different agencies, and we've got documentation on that. Somebody does. I don't have it personally, but that was another factor. But in Waco, they showed a number of shots coming from satellite, where you saw the Davinians, what they were wearing, what they were like from satellite shots through the building, and they were monitoring all of this, okay? And they showed some shots on the media. Now, okay, you consider that, and you consider that the CSE is tied in with that. They have all that access to all that information. What we share in Canada here is a voice print on everybody in North America through our Cray computers. They share their Skywatch, where they can go in and see anything. So in Waco, that's an example. Now, on the other example, look at drugs. Look at the drug scene. You see the police, which don't have access to this information and this technology, they're fighting the drug scene. And these drug lords are pulling in all of this money, and or making all this money, but all these drugs, thousands and thousands of pounds of drugs every year flow in. They've got the technology to trace these guys. They know what's going on. There isn't a government in the world doesn't know about the drug trade. All the job of the police is to cut out the competition. Anybody that might be competing against the New World Order and their control over the drug trade. And yet people don't put the two together. They don't understand. You see it on TV. They don't take a second to understand. We're brain dead, man. So they monitor everything we do 24 hours a day. That's Brzezinski's book, The Technocratic Era. Says all that. Classify, stratify, you name it. And we're just lab rats. They're doing a social experiment on us. And we're no to them. That's all we are. And we love them for it. So 7 days to redemption is maybe, I'd like to just present it as possible beginning, but what it is just a step-by-step procedure where we can slowly change the psychology, our psychology, as well as the psychology of the maybe other people that we come into contact with. And so I'm just going to put this forward, and you can kind of judge it for yourself. The 7 days would look something like this. We'd have days across the top, so you have day 1, day 2, day 7, exceptional, etc. You would have the actual dates. They could be any dates, so that no one could be aware of exactly when things are going to be happening. You would have certain classifications of areas that you would want to work towards to change, to make change. Okay, so here I've got weeks, and along the weeks I've got corporate control, banking control. Is that better? Okay, banking control, currency control, etc. What can we do with false justice system, and what can we do with false government and things like that? Well, we're talking about some of these things, but how do you make it take place? How do you make it happen? How do you get people involved in it and make it grow and make it effective? There is in the information I gave you, there's 21 objectives there that hopefully something like this would be able to solve or help complete. Week 1 would you notice there's actually 7 days, 7 weeks. So there's actually 49 categories, but you could have more. It's just a model. But you have week 1, and we could do very simple things like boycott gas, things that everybody could do, and the average guy on the street wouldn't. It would be of immediate benefit to him to boycott gas, because in the States they did a boycott and it saved a lot of money. They dropped the price of gas. They did one on the internet here at the end of March, and I don't know what the result of that was, but I'm just setting that out as an example. The banking, in terms of banking control, to help people to go to cash. Now, the temptation would be, well, let's get go to cash directly. Well, people that are in business and that kind of thing, they can't do that. There's no way that they can overnight go to cash, but they could maybe do one type of, like one part of their lives, they could start moving into cash. The reason for cash, of course, is that they can no longer keep a going record on you. Now, many people are saying, well, the only way to go is redemption. The only way to go is common law. The only way to go is D-tax. The only way to go is law, procedures, and the truth. Well, people don't start there. Most people don't start there. They start with something that affects them right now. But something as simple as cash. You know what that would do to these guys? If everybody went cash to cash, well, the banks wouldn't handle it. It would be a big problem. But if everybody slowly went back to cash, and let's say by next year, everybody went to cash and got out of all the credit cards and all of this kind of thing, except maybe offshore stuff, where you have some kind of privacy or encryption or whatever. Eagle was a good example. That would drive them crazy, because they have everything. They've got they're doing this in a scientific progression. It's a scientific study for them. And you would throw a kink into their program. You would blow them away. See, what they want is they want full control over you. They've got all the money they want. They don't need the income tax or the rent payments or any of that kind of stuff. So you go cash would be a good example. The next one might be, go to silver or gold. You could talk to people about that, say, especially with the stock market the way it is now, do a little bit of that. Our onshore, offshore account is a banking account that can be set up. It's just a matter of going to another bank and setting it up. So they can't guarantee your wages as easily. So there's people that can help you with that kind of information. Maybe fight a ticket, find out what their court system is really all about. Why don't you go to get a ticket and go into court? It's only going to cost you some time. The ticket's only going to be $10, even if you lose. You've gone into court and you've given it a try. You found out a little bit about the court system. These are just suggestions, but it's starting off at a level that people can maybe take a bite into. Instead of saying, "Oh, the only thing you can do, you got it tomorrow. You got to go into the redemption process and free yourself." Well, if some people aren't concerned about that. One farmer that I phoned up down in southern Alberta, he says, "Well, I've got 8,000 head of cattle. I've got 8,000 acres. I pay my bills. I'm making lots of money. I don't need this redemption stuff." But I talked him into some other stuff that he might be interested in. So I'll be getting back to him. But it's you have to kind of take people from where they're at and then move them very slowly. But one step in the right direction is 10 times better or 100 times better than just sitting there as a couch potato and not doing anything, not moving at all in the correct direction. So these are just kind of suggestions. Then you'd have numbers. The next step to this would be to have numbers of people that are involved, and we could do this in a way that nobody could really monitor. It could be done very simply, where you can't be in other words, if you're going to be involved in this, you're not standing up and say, "Here's a target, come after me. I'm ready to suffer." So you deal with numbers, and what you do is you go from week to week and you repeat the same step. So let's say we go into banking control, go to cash. Well, you start off with something very simple that you can handle. The next week, which could be months away or it could be just weeks away, depending on what the schedule is, then you go further into a cash, situation and away from the credit cards. So you don't do it all. You don't pressure people into do it all at one time. It's one little step at a time. That's how we got into the problem. Hopefully, maybe if we got the time, we can get people back out that way. And if they know that there's, if you can collect the numbers of the people that are involved, and those numbers are increasing, and if we can get a number of different groups, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this happen. Get a number of groups and their centers of influence doing this in the background so that when, let's say we want to help out the people, that family, for example, that is taking on this court case. They're taking on Revenue Canada, the family that I showed you, the 10 kids and the mother committed suicide. Now, if we were organized, the thing to do would to make out 10,000 or 100,000 posters, and on that poster say, this could happen to your family, or this is what Revenue Canada is up to. And if we had 10,000 people across Canada that weren't showing, they didn't have to come out and stand up and say, well, shoot me or throw me in jail or whatever. But if we put that information out and we did it all one time, and people across Canada saw it, do you think it would have an effect? Now, that's kind of ideal, but if we can, if it's possible to get something like this organized, start very simply and build numbers, and if we have an effect, if it does make some changes, then people will join. But there's a lot of other things we could add in there to make it much more appealing. Anyways, so week 2 would look at corporate control, and I've included free energy. So we're going to have a little bit of a talk on free energy devices, and freedom technology. Well, how does that relate to corporate control? Well, think of your bills. Your bills are always in arrears. I don't have enough information. I'll just leave that. But it's a freedom question. But think of all your gas, what they're doing to you right now, what they're doing to the nation right now with gasoline prices. If we could teach people or help people to learn about the free energy, pass them a tape, just get their minds thinking, well, geez, why don't we have that energy here? If that energy is really, if those machines and devices really work, why aren't we using them? Why is the government suppressing that? Or why isn't it available? Or where can I find that kind of stuff? Okay? So you get them thinking about it, and they're thinking along the tracks of freedom. And so you got them thinking our way, even though it's not redemption program, or it isn't something else that somebody else wants to push. Like it's got to be the only answer. Well, it might not be the only answer for some people. But you can, okay, go cash. Let's start on credit cards. No, don't get rid of all your credit cards. Get rid of one credit card. Because you know what can happen if somebody gets hold of your credit card number, what they can do to you. They can wipe you out, period. And there was a good article in Reader's Digest where a woman tried to get her credit card back a number of times. And the professionals that had taken it continued to use it. And they found another way to use it. The whole article said it was just a nightmare for this woman. It bankrupted her. So, you know, so you can tell stories like that. You know, maybe you should get rid of your credit cards. It's just common sense, straightforward, step-by-step kinds of things that we can do. So here we go. Now let's look at the. We're looking at the total here. Setup. But let's just look at day one, the corporate control. Now look at the progression over time. You boycott gas, you get them thinking, well, let's do some free energy. You get an over unity device. You get to free, gas-free energy. Who does not know about George Wiseman, for example? Okay, George Wiseman has a torch that works on gas. Brown's gas, which is water, and it's in a plasma form. It cuts rock. I've seen him actually using this device at a seminar in Phoenix, and it is the only thing it can't do is boil water. It can't heat water because it is water. But he uses it also. He's also got some plans out now for $30, $40 where you can fit it on your car and use water to run your vehicle. So making people aware, maybe you just want to start off with for those people who are handy with that kind of thing, maybe with just a generator or something like that. But the technology is there. So you've got become electric free, because there's that's be a next step, the utility free, and maybe go after a allodial title. But if you look at banking control, you go simply. We've been talking a little bit about bank freedom affidavits. Look it up on www.bankfreedom, and at least you're thinking. You can get people thinking about on that line. Now I'm looking at the farmers on this one. The farmers in Saskatchewan, 60% of the farmers in Saskatchewan are not going to get their operating loans this summer. This came out at a meeting. I was with MLA from Rocky Mountain House, and that's what they were telling us. By September, they've got to pay their bills. What's going to happen to the farmers in Saskatchewan? What's already happening to farmers in northern Alberta? What's happening to fishermen and loggers, and it goes on and on and on. If we don't. But imagine if you took that bank freedom affidavit, which will make any banker spin circles, because people that have done it, just drives them crazy, because they can't sign it, because if they signed it, it would be fraud. So if it's not a big thing, it's not going to hurt anybody, but if you could organize farmers that are going to lose their land, if we could somehow get the farmers on task here and lose their land, and in one town, 5,000 or 2,000 or 1,000 or 100 of them, I don't care. All you'd need is 20 of them. If they send in these affidavits to the same bank, that would drive that banker snarky. Now, the affidavit, by the way, is inside the handout that I gave you, that you got at the beginning of the day. So you kind of look that over.
Saying it's not my debt, it's your debt.
It's a state. Well, you can read it, but it's basically saying that the lender should be repaid, and although you're the borrower, you're also the lender. In any banking mortgage, any kind of arrangement, it's you are the lender.
What you do is just take it in and ask him to sign it.
Yeah, and ask him to sign this affidavit and have it sworn. Otherwise, well, these guys are losing their farms. They've got nothing to lose. So they send this thing in. They'll drive them. They'll drive. You can drive. We could drive bankers right out of town. And with the commercial lien process you'll learn tomorrow morning, which we haven't implemented, but it's sitting there and we haven't had time to get to it, where you actually use the affidavits and then you set up an affidavit and an administrative record, and the next day you go after these guys. So there's all kinds of possibilities, and you don't have to go out and get shot, or worry about getting put in jail to write out, send in one of these affidavits, but you'll get those bankers just going snarky. The next thing you can do is do signature, where you say this is not my signature, because unless you have full knowledge and understanding, it isn't a signature under law. And so we've got documentation on that. That kind of thing is around as well. So these farmers could do that as well. Now eventually we'd love to build them to the point where they can do law procedures and the truth, but I'm telling you, most farmers, I'm sure that if you went and talked to them about anything about that, they would tell you you're crazy. A promissory note. Well, you enter a promissory note. What the promissory note that you sign with the banker, right? That promissory note is on their terms. So you give them a promissory note on your terms. And every farmer could do that. And that discharges the debt. That discharges the debt, and what it does is it moves it from one category to the other, to a simple contract rather than a mortgage. A simple contract, they can take your land, they can take possession, but they can't take ownership away. So you don't lose the ownership. That's if it's accepted in the courts. But then we have to work on the courts, and that's when we can work with help people and with the law procedures and the truth. So we can do some dramatic things and save our country. We can just drive these guys absolutely snarky. Currency control, silver, gold, then move into Norfed. Talk to people, well, maybe you should have a little bit of Norfed, if they're not on the internet. Maybe a little eGold, set up an eGold account just to get them familiar with it. It doesn't cost them anything, right, to set up an account? Just so they know that these things are happening. Barter system, there are on the internet, as well as in terms of books, there's telephone book size barter systems going around where companies can barter with other companies. So the barter system, hour bills, there's in Calgary there's a group that is using hour bills. There's $22,000 worth of hour bills in the Kensington area there, whatever they call that area, whatever that group is, but they do over $2 million worth of business using hour bills rather than dollar bills. An hour bill is a bill that's worth about $10, equivalent to $10 U.S. if you're using U.S. or Canadian. What a guy would normally, average fellow would make in 1 hour's work. It would be an hour bill rather than a dollar bill. Now, well, what's the purpose of that? Well, it does is it makes a community, for one thing. The only way you can spend that dollar is back in that community, so you build up the community spirit, and they're doing it in all other, yeah, exactly. And they're doing it in all kinds of other areas. Unfortunately, they're still paying tax on this. The government is forcing them to pay tax on it. Can you believe it? Daysland in Alberta here, northern or central Alberta is using that as well. It comes from Ithaca. So I think the Ithaca site might be on, Ithaca dollar, it might be on that sheet, for those people on the internet. You should be able to see a www sign there that has to do with that. So my deal is, if we could ever get the numbers up, and it's easy to do, how hard would it, people say, well, I can't get anybody out. We can't get a hell of a lot of people out here. We didn't this weekend. But the you stop and think about what's, there's like Bev was saying, that there's 100 countries, or there's a large number of countries, actually 100 of them that are fighting globalism. There's Islamabad set up their own system, their own debt-free system, debt-free money system. So they're leading the world. Okay, Malaysia. Okay, and so then you have Malaysia, you have Indonesia, you have the Emirates Islands. They've got trillions of dollars, families that are fighting them. You've got, in the U.S., you've got the John Birch Society, the LaRouche campaign, John Birch on Constitution. They have 300,000 or 400,000. The offshore community is it's got to be up around 1 million at least. Eh? They're well educated. Well, okay, I would imagine it's up 500,000 to 1 million. They're aware of all that's going on here. You've got the governors' conference that just took place in the U.S. 28 governors from 28 states are fighting globalism. You've got senators that are fighting globalism. They're coming forward, and they're fighting as much as they can. You've got the militia down in the states growing after the phony attempts of the CIA to try and cover up their tracks in Oklahoma and Ruby Ridge and all of those, which we can prove were all setups. Oklahoma especially. Volumes of information on that. So we've got all of the... What I'm saying to you folks is there's already 10 million people organized. There's 10,000, there's at least 10 million in the world that are talking the same talk we're talking. It's got to be. Why don't we get those people organized? And then let's start doing a system of our own. Why don't we set up our own banking system? So teach people about e-gold and barter system or whatever, and how to get free, build in a free system, but you teach them at a level that they can kind of understand. Rocky Mountain House has their own dollar, their own trade dollar, which they institute every year through the commerce, the Chamber of Commerce. Anybody involved in the Chamber of Commerce, it's an excellent way to build up the local economy. Keep the money at home, but it gets people thinking outside of the paradigm, the box. RevCan control. Well, one of the first things to do if anybody's having any trouble is to get an offshore or onshore bank account where you set up an account under 2 names or 3 names. Murray talks about this all the time, and other groups do as well. But what you're doing there is you're going to set up an account in a different bank that you haven't been using under 2 names where you need and by doing that, they can't tell exactly whose account that is. The other thing you do is make sure it's a non-interest bearing account, because if it's a non-interest bearing account, then they cannot require your SIN number under the Privacy Act. Yes.
I'll tell you, I tried to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to
Credit union.
credit union in Edmonton. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And first thing they said, well, you can't do that. You can't set up an account. So this woman went to see the manager. Half an hour later, she comes back. Sure, we can. Took me into a room, said, fine. I'll set it up. You will put a SIN number in it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the credit bureau for a report, and chances are your SIN number is at the credit bureau, and they'll plug that into their computer,
Yeah.
that report, and so they've got your number whether you give them permission to or not.
Right. You can get accounts. I did it at Hong Kong Bank, and I had a fight with them. I had the Privacy Act with me, and I slapped it down. It got them scurrying. They started doing.
They still will get that credit bureau.
I know, but the account number is still the account number that I ended up with doesn't have the SIN number on it. Yes.
If you can prove that that's what they're doing, then you got grounds for a lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd record that, quite frankly. Go in there with a tape recorder and maybe a video recorder that's hidden or something like that, because you got grounds for a lawsuit.
Okay.
The Royal Bank has it right on their forms now. Social Security number, optional.
There you go.
And another part on the form, it says Social Security number may be used for additional identification if given.
Right. Okay.
Or I think they might have mentioned something to do with tax
Right.
records or purposes or something.
Right. Good stuff.
Right on the Royal Bank form,
So,
it says
yeah. there's, again, you might have to be a little bit more persistent, but I understand that the credit union is not the place to go to, but and I've never understood why, but yes?
Credit unions don't work on the same principle that banks do. In other words, they don't create all that money.
Out of nothing.
They loan out deposits. That's all they do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
quite a lengthy contract that you have to sign when you join a credit union, and you'll find that there's provisions in there for garnishing wages and all sorts of stuff.
Okay, great. So there's your answer. That's why you don't go to the credit union. It wasn't a good bank to go to, I guess. But
Actually said people had a reasonable amount of success with
okay.
passing with the Canadian Western Bank.
Okay, great. There's a rollover program where you can defer taxes and things like that, where you're not going offshore. There's or things of that nature. There are programs where you can remove your RSPs or get your RSPs back, or sorry, your tax back for a number of years. But you can remove RSPs. You can remove equity. Very safe programs. And they have one company that we know of has a 20-year record. This company is fighting. This is another thing that's going on. They are in 160 different countries in the world. 160 different countries doing missionary work. They have trillions of dollars behind them. They've been working programs for 25 years, and they have just recently, I heard about a month ago, bought up over 600 sections of land in Midwest states. Bought up all the mortgages on them, so if the system goes down, the farmers can continue to hold on to their land. So they're doing some very dramatic things as well, and they've got a network around the world. So, what? What's that? I'm not at liberty to say. You got to. One of the reasons they're successful, I can tell you personally. You know, I can give you some personal information if you're. But the reason they're successful is they're very, very careful about information that they give out, because that's what happens to. That's why our speaker isn't here tonight. Okay, so. But you can see the gradual stuff. You know, you can take people a little bit at a time. Some people might. Is there Sudan? Oh, hi, Sudan. There you go. Oh, okay, so you've got false justice. You fight tickets, international driver's license. There's people that can help us out in that respect, so that you get stopped by tickets. People. A lot of people might be interested in this one. If you could actually get one for yourself, show them. Yeah, the cops won't give you a ticket if you're speeding or whatever, because you've got an international driver's license. So it's just too much hassle. So they don't. You can phone down. Brian, who was here, phoned down to the vehicle registration office and asked them about it, and they said, "Oh no, they never ticket them." So for people that get miffed about that kind of thing, parking tickets and that kind of thing, it's a way to get out of it and to get them thinking along the lines of sovereignty. You can start noticing police affidavits and things of this nature, the bankers, the judges, notice politicians saying the idea of the affidavit is this is the truth, it's sworn under the truth, and that doesn't go away. It's going to stick on their record. So even if nothing's really done, it's something that it sticks on their record. It's part of their record. Then we could maybe work towards a rally or something. Glenn Keeley has been trying to get a rally together for the year 2002 at the Parliament buildings. Glenn Keeley has kind of gone overboard with some of the stuff he's talking about. But anyways, the false government. Learn redemption, get in control, stay in control, law procedures, could be any order there, but do one step at a time. Media control, we've got to do something about the false notices that they put in the media. And they just recently took a shot of me on Wednesday, and there's a couple of individuals that put their fist in the camera and things like this. They weren't. What had happened? It was involved. I was involved with the Gorge case in Red Deer. I saw the media out there, and I wanted to go out and explain a little bit about the background about why he wasn't giving his name and that. And everything was going really well, but a couple of the fellows that are associated with associated with the movement or whatever, they came out and the media went after them and directly to try and frustrate them, and they felt harassed and they didn't want to talk to the media. So one of them put his fist up and said, "No, you're not going to, get out of my face, or you're going to get some of this," and stuff like that. Pushed his arm away, and one guy's arm away, and so what they did is they had a picture of me on CFRN, and I was talking, but there was no voice, and then they showed these guys doing their thing, and at one point I walked over to try and calm things down, and I asked them to shut their cameras off, and I just put my hand up and I said, "Please," or I didn't say please, I said, "That's harassment, that's all they clipped. That's all out of the clip, that's all they said." So here they put me right in between these guys, and so I'm guilty by association. Okay, so now I'm an old man that can't control myself or whatever. But I guess other people have said that they heard some pretty good reports on CBC or whatever, so it didn't come out too badly. So my reaction to that, part of my reaction to that is, there's a whole class of people out there and say, well, geez, that guy's a fool. But there's a lot of people out there that understand, like people like us, that understand what the media is all about and what's really going on. And it's saying, well, here's another guy that's standing up for what's right. So it is publicity, either way you look at it. So
We're going to have you on the Primo show yet.
I don't want to go that far, I don't think. I don't know, maybe. Oh, I don't know what my point was there. Oh, the weeks. Anyway, so that's kind of the idea that I had. Now, the concept you have to kind of keep in mind that some people are at different levels in this, so they might have completed some of these aspects, but not others. And you can't expect them to be on the end run. And I think that's what I was going to do at that last one. If you look at the week 7, allodial title, bank freedom, debt-free money, a debt-free money system, GST exempt or whatever, rally of some kind, a republican government if we force the issue, especially after that phone call session on Monday night. That was pretty good. With Sir Dan had organized with LaRouche's campaign and David Wynn Miller. Some of the things were said on that was really exciting stuff. So there's that. There's the Republic. There's Freedom News. And the technological control that was supposed to be our guest speaker isn't going to make it. He's caught up at the airport, but he would be able to help us out with a lot of this stuff. I should maybe go through some of this. If you want to carry dollars offshore, he's got the equipment to. I lost the end on there. Pick it up later. Okay. Anyways, he's got a dollar carrier, a carrier for carrying dollars through the airports, because all of U.S. dollars have a wire within them, or a tracing device within them, to $20 and up. So when you walk into the airport, they know how much cash you've got on you. And so, yeah. Well, I would imagine. I don't know about Canadian $100 bills. What's that?
The Canadians have the foil.
The $100. The 20s as well. Okay, so the foil stamp does the same thing. So you've got money in your house. They know exactly how much you've got, kind of thing, or they can find out or anywhere you've got it stashed or whatever. Anyways, this carrying case can go through the system without them knowing what's in there. You get a little ladybug for your cell phones, because there's harmful energy that comes from the batteries as well as other sources. I'm not sure about that one. Encryption. Well, he's got encryption technology. He's got a technology that goes beyond encryption that he would have to just explain to you. He's got a little detector pin. It's $1,200, but if there's any bugs in the room within 6 feet of you, the little pin will start wiggling. So it'll let you know that you're being bugged. He's got all kinds of sweeps. He's got a black box. You put it in the corner of the room, and it will remove all of the any bugging device within the room. And he's got different sweeps to find out if there's anybody in the room that's carrying a bug. So So that would be very helpful. He's got a system that you can tie all your telephones in and your fax, if you wanted a fax or whatever, you can get that system that it's used for diplomatic services. Like he sells to diplomatic services around the world, to CIA, etc. His company is DIC. So if we had that type, it's $3,500, $5,000. But if we had a group that were sharing information, like a telephone conversations that Serdan has been up to, and that group, then you could secure much of what was going on there, and instead of having it wide open. So it's just some ways. So the 7 days declaration parchment would be something along the lines: we the people deplore admiralty law, condemn usury, recognize God as supreme power, not them. They want to make themselves God, acknowledge Anglo-Saxon common law, acknowledge principles, in principle, Magna Carta of Canada. Now, the Magna Carta of Canada can be found on Eldon Warman's site, and the reason I'm bringing it up is I kind of like his approach. He says, all we really have to do is say no. We're not going to go along with the rape anymore. And he's trying to develop a Magna Carta that would that people could look to and say, well, this is something worthwhile fighting for and working towards. So if you can click on his website, you can get to that site, and he wants people to throw in some information, put your ideas in, and things of that nature. So I thought that was kind of neat. We the people accept debt-free currency and substance for substance equity, those kinds of things. We the people, for the people, by the people, and that's used in the generic term. It's not any group or anything. We the people recognize Republican government, not public policy implemented by the few. This land is our land. God gave it to us, and the renewable resources, etc. We support government free of socialism, military, tribunal, courts, and corporate rule. Just some ideas. We're in harmony with all peoples in the world. We're not at war with them. But the divide and conquer at the international level, we've been abused. Our minds have been abused by that as well. So that's the 7 day to redemption. The way to kind of carry it out would be, and to keep everything low key, would just be to set up cells. And we could begin that right now. We have a number of leaders in this room. You set up a cell of 12 people, and you're responsible for those 12 people. Now, if we can get leaders, as I spoke, from on an international level as well as other levels that have all of these organizations already built, and we start at the top, and they all, it could be designed so that we can move people, direct people according to dates and according to specifics out of this chart. We're going to move people right at the beginning level and then work to the next level, like from the days through the days. And if we have a system that we can get that information out through encryption or through other means, but you do it through cells, so you only know 12 people within that cell, then it would be, and you've got maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks before it's going to be implemented. You can now have people right across Canada that are involved working on a program, like, let's say, to stop or to help this family out, that, as I suggested, that is going to be taking RevCam to the cleaners, the family that's fighting back, and put posters out across Canada. So, and you can do it by getting the information out without it being thwarted in any way, without it being stopped. You could get the bank freedom thing going, or other kinds, bank freedom, just simple stuff. Start off very simply and then build towards the, whatever your end goals are. So if anybody's interested in that, if you think it's workable, then you can just slip me a note or something like that. And I personally am not going to be a leader. I'm going to pass it on to somebody else that I know, but I could pass your name on, and then we could maybe get started in that respect. That was one of the reasons I kind of wanted Mr. Cox up here, because he would be an excellent beginning because he's got a big organization and stuff. But you get the idea. The idea is to we can do it through codes or through code words, that kind of thing. And before you go, you can if you want to pass me a note somehow or mail or whatever, you can do so. A good idea for people is to set up a mail drop so it doesn't go directly to your address and things of that nature. So I don't know how you feel about that, but I really truly believe that if we want to get the masses involved, we've got to do it in a step-by-step process. We've got to get people, like the people are already there, the leadership that is already there, get them involved and coordinated and working in the same direction. And we'll have a much greater impact. We can start very simply and put the system off balance. If they're off balance trying to reorganize or regain their balance, then they aren't making things worse for us. So I don't know. What do you think? So please let me know if there's any interest there. We will. Kept you here a long time. We've got supper coming at 6 o'clock, and I haven't heard differently, so maybe that'll work out. This whole technology thing is kind of scary. After supper, we do have a very exciting film to show, or video, and we'll just show it right through on this screen, or we can put it up on the other screen, whatever. And it'll last about 2 hours, and we have a guest presenter, so you'll meet, I believe his name is Greg. Is that correct? I'm asking you, Alan. That's Glenn, sorry. No, not Glenn Fern, but Greg. He came in with Bev, whatever his name is. Greg, yeah. Okay. Greg is his name, Bev? Gary, there you go. Greg, Gary, Glenn. I got to figure it down. Okay, so it'll be upbeat and it'll be very informative, giving information on new freedom technologies that can that give us another, some more ideas on how we can free ourselves. And something as simple as a video like that can go a long ways to getting people to think differently about what their options are and what's possible. My hope is that we've got the time remaining, that there is enough time remaining on there, to kind of protect ourselves. There's kind of a shock in the market right now, but hopefully there will be time. I have failed to do one thing, and maybe I'll do it right at the end if we aren't all collapsing by then. And a short presentation on what I believe is actually happening in terms of the overall picture. We tend to get into the forest and we see the trees, but we don't see the forest. We see the trees, and our vision is blocked by the trees. We don't get a real good picture of what's really happening overall. And some of the things that I mentioned are very important. But we've seen a steady growth in freedom groups and freedom activities that have taken place, starting with social credit, the core program, the Western Concept Party. Then we looked into detaxing and all kinds of different forms of detaxing, and then it led to other forms of other ways and other means of getting control back in our lives and remedies. So when you look at it from that stage, there is a steadily growing, steady growth of information, of people that are coming across and understanding more and more what's really going on. And so in that respect, there's a government there. It's an emerging government, and all we have to do is see it. It's actually there. It's out there. We just have to grab a hold of it and make it work. And that's why we have to unify, get people working together, make this thing work. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.